So the last of the braces. Right, that's the airbox done. With new rubbers all round. Cool. Mustn't forget my clips. You get new ones with the Sprint rubbers, but you don't get the inserts, so be careful. Right, I'm going to orientate them like that. Let's see how I get on. Right, carbs out of the way. I'll get my airbox back in. And they slide. There's a little sliders there that slide on here. Job done. I have to drop these carbs a minute. Yeah, I'm going to move the carbs. I'm on a cable tie, so it doesn't matter hanging the carbs there. Let's just make sure. Right, yep. That's the way the airbox goes. He's nice and snug. I can put on the rest of the airbox stuff here. Where are you? And yeah, this part here is my new intake silencers in there. So they're just new foam elements. You don't really need them. They're air intake silencers. But the foam was all falling apart and it was just a pile of crap there in the filter, so I've decided to replace them. Now, for the want of keeping this thing tidy, I'm going to build this airbox system back up. And there's less screws and things to remember what I have to do. So, one of these screws into the battery box, and one of them has a nut on the other end. So bit of a crappy system. Just go off. Well, you're not in there. Hang on, let's get a proper tool. Going to do these loosely for now. I know I haven't got this hooked up correctly yet. Well, that's proven to be a bit bloody awkward. The battery box has slipped a little. That's better. Geez, that looks bloody awkward. Right. That doesn't look right at all. Hang fire. Well, eventually got my nuts located, the bolts located. They don't need to be too tight. There's a captive nut on the other. Yeah, there's a nut on the other side. That's grand. Snorkel back on. These on. Cool. Right, I'm going to fit this on the other side before I try and bring the airbox back over to it and have my sealing rubber making the seal. Right, that's the airbox back on. It kind of just floats a bit there. Just make sure you got these seals on the back side all the way around. It was a bit fiddly on the other side, got a bit caught up. So here's my airbox back. So we've got to change these front rubbers and get these carbs on. It's going to be a bit tight, but what the hell. While I'm here, I'm going to put my breather, crankcase breather on the airbox so I don't forget. And my drain, that's my drain tube there. That's going to the back of the airbox there. So I need to find that underneath there somewhere. Top tip on this airbox drain and tube, put it on before you put the airbox back, because it's almost impossible to get your fingers around this or your pliers around this to get this back on there. So that's come back off again, just so I can get the drain tube off. Also note, these carb rubbers between the head and the carb on the inside, they're not symmetrical. So there's only one way around these go. So if you're not ready to do them, either leave one on the head or leave one on the carb so you can tell which way around they need to go. Right, I need to go that way. So there's an almost seal-like looking lip on the front of this one that goes on the head. That's how they are on this one. So once you've got those orientated right, screw the clamper all the way until it's fully closed, like on that one. There's not much pressure against it. I'm just going to put this camera down while I make sure I hold that seal on, that rubber on, while I tighten it up. When you're putting these in place, it's kind of hard to see which is the thicker end, which is the thinner end, or whether you've got it lined up nicely. So just use the top of the casting marks as the very top. Make that the 12 o'clock position. So now when I have my clip on there, that's vertical, the little mark there. You can do the same with all. Need to actually move that number 3 a tiny bit. It's difficult to get to the screw on the clip if I align it this way on number 4, because the casting here for the timing chain. So I'll just mount that vertically so I can tighten that up. Right, I've backed off the screws a tiny bit. They were distorting the rubber ever so slightly, but ever so slightly. But they're nice and firm now. They're just to keep the air sealed. So now, get these 4 carbs in here. This is going to be fun. It could be dead easy, or it could be very hard. Right, before I do that, of course, I need to put my clips on all the other inlets on the other side. Oh, other way. I'm going to have to put the phone down from this, aren't I? Yeah. No, here we are. Oh, I wasn't even pointing to it. Right. Put all 4 clips on my carb rubbers. I'm mounting my clips with the heads vertical because I have plenty of space to screw them from above. Right, there might be a bit of effing and blinding here because I already know this is going to be a bitch. And I already know the first mistake I've made. I fitted the airbox onto here, and I should still have the airbox loose to be able to bring it further back to fit the carbs in. So I actually shouldn't have connected this either side at all to allow me to bring the airbox back to get the carbs out. I'm stupid. Right, that's those taken off. Now, yeah, look how far back I can push that airbox now. That'll allow me to get the carbs in a bit easier. I don't know what I was thinking. Right, I need to clip those cable ties. Where's my snips? Pause for snip finding. Right. So, cable tie was just to save my carbs, yeah, falling off the bike like that and buggering them up internally. I don't really want to disturb these carbs any more than necessary. So, let's see. I've got my throttle cable and it's adjusted. I've got these two breathers here. Got my two fuel lines on. My clips are on. The only thing I need to do is choke, but that's a little bit more easily accessible, if I remember rightly. Well, it is and it isn't, but look, I reckon I'll be able to do it. So pull this airbox back. It's still tight, but doable. That breather gets in the way, I have to say. Or fuel line, I should say. It's not going in too bad though. Just want to make sure I'm not ripping any breathers or tubes out. Right, I'm roughly in position. Roughly. Now I'm going to make a stab at the engine side connections before I concentrate on anything else. Which are proving a bit stubborn, I have to say. So I need to check for anything fouled. That's my fuel line, vacuum tube. No, that's my vacuum tube. That's going to be replaced actually. It's a breather. Right, some fiddling required. Bit of brute force. I'm in cylinder 4. Be careful there. I have a centre stand on this. I'm just in danger of knocking it off the centre stand if I push too hard. But it looks like I'm in So before I bring that airbox forward and connect that, I'm going to tighten up my connections on the carb rubbers. That looks very clean. That looks very clean. Lovely. Lovely. Oh, I think this is my shit screwdriver. Oh, it'll do. Oh, don't like the way that clip is sitting. Just to back that off again. That's better. Right, that's a lovely connection. So, new inlet carb rubbers. I just need carb rubbers yet. Cool. Won't bother filming, just tightening up those. Right, I'm delighted with those. I can immediately see from when the carb bank was on there before that they're sitting much straighter. They were pulled off on the right hand side. They weren't sitting well at all. And that was because, well, something was out. I don't know what. So now just get the airbox on. So that's it, new airbox on. I can see from looking underneath there that the rubbers are sitting around the carburetors all evenly, all the way across. All my joins look even across all 4 carbs. So I'm just hoping I haven't disturbed anything on the carbs and all the float bowls and everything like that. Still working fine, because I really don't want to open up the carbs at this stage. I just wanted to replace the rubbers. Well, I just wanted to replace the air filter, really. So I can put my airbox chambers back on now. So that's really nice and clean. I'm really glad I did those rubbers. Right, airbox covers back on. I can't do the valve clearances, or I can't measure the valve clearances until I get my spark plug spanner, which I've got 5. I found 5 spark plug spanners, even long ones. None of them the right size for this. So would you believe? Well, it's not that amazing to believe. So I've ordered an original Triumph one, just so I know I won't have to be fluting about then. And I've ordered the Triumph valve adjustment tool for getting the shims out, and a complete rocker cover gasket. I know there's no rockers anymore, but the valve cover gasket set. It's only about 55 euros, again from Triumph. I don't expect to be opening this head up for a long time, and I think 55 euros is a good investment for making sure this thing doesn't leak after I go to all this trouble putting the tank back and everything like that. So I'll finish up for the day once I get those on. Right, air system all back intact, carbs. So I just got to put the choke cable back on, which I'll leave off for now. I'll leave the coils up like that. Might just help getting the valve cover on at a later date. So I can't wait to measure these gaps. See how many shims I need. Hopefully, just 1s or 2s. I'd hate for it to be all 16, because that's going to be very laborious with the tool if it's going to be all 16. I might have to take the camshafts out. I really don't want to. Now, I think I'll call that video a day and make a separate one on doing the valve adjustments. Just cleaning up this valve head cover a bit. It's really important. You see these, look, tiniest bits of silicon sealant from the last job. There's little tiny bits everywhere, so before that goes on, I have to get those all off. But all these rubbers are going to be replaced on the main gasket. It's going to do a job and all that. So that was an airbox change on a 4-cylinder Triumph Tiger, it's not a Tiger, Triumph Daytona 1200, 1995. But all the Hinkley 4-cylinders are going to have an airbox like that, and carb, and an engine setup like that. So it'll be the old trophies as well. What an ass!